Rescue workers were seen searching for survivors in pictures released by the region's emergency services. And according to local officials, 274 people were serving sentences in the prison facility. In addition to the glide bomb attack, the Ukrainian Air Force said that Russia had launched 37 drones and 2 missiles overnight, adding that its air defense systems had downed 32 of the drones. According to Ukrainian officials, at least 6 people were killed in separate overnight Russian strikes in Kharkiv, including a 23-year-old pregnant woman. The Russian Defense Ministry claimed fresh advances across the front line with Ukraine, saying its forces had taken control of 2 more villages, one in Donetsk and another in Zaporizhia. However, the Kremlin spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov, says that Moscow remains committed to the peace process to resolve the conflict. Earlier, Trump had shortened the 50-day ultimatum he had issued to Russian President Vladimir Putin to 10 or 12 days, underscoring frustration with Putin over the Kremlin war. Trump has threatened to slap tariffs on Russia and secondary tariffs on buyers of Russian oil. Mr. Bishop Garrison is a former senior advisor to the Secretary of Defense and current senior fellow and adjunct professor, National Security Institute at George Mason University Law School. Is now joining us live. Thank you very much for your time. Let's try and decode how the Kremlin reacted to Trump's ultimatum. Dmitry Medvedev, the deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council, framed Trump's challenge as a dangerous escalation. He says that Trump should remember 2 things. 1, Russia is not Israel or Iran. 2, each new ultimatum is a threat and a step towards war. Your reaction?
First off, thank you for having me. My reaction is Russia is entering a period of desperation here, and that's, I think, a huge part of what these attacks represent. Russia is looking for an opportunity to push Ukraine into decisions, into poor decisions, into agreements that they would not otherwise do, and they're using this opportunity, this 10 to 12-day window that President Trump is presenting the most detrimental type of force, the most treacherous types of tactics that they can at this point.
Mr. Garrison, cross-border strikes continue regardless. What do you predict could or will happen in the coming 10 days or in the period of Trump's ultimatum?
Well, a myriad of outcomes could really come from this. I think one thing you're going to see is that Russia is going to continue these exact type of strikes. I think that the Ukrainian government, the Ukrainian people, the Ukrainian army have continued to demonstrate their resiliency. You're going to see them continue to fight back. There are already reports that they were utilizing a variety of larger long-range drones in order to strike back into Russian territory, both Russian occupied territory and to Russia itself. So you're going to see this continue to escalate to some degree. I think it's going to be necessary for the president and our allies, U.S. allies, to go ahead and put more sanctions on Russia, as many as they can, in order to deter this type of continued activity. I think we're going to see it continue. It sounds as though Vladimir Putin and his government are going to test everyone's resolve. So they're going to push further until some type of external major activity forces their hand here.
Mr. Garrison, very quickly before I let you go, Russia says it's willing to speak, but if sanctions are issued to the country, then would that not make Putin more angry and more aggressive? Quickly.
I don't think anything is going to appease Putin and quench his appetite short of Ukraine's complete and total surrender at this point. And that's what they're going to look for. They're going to look to continue to hold Ukrainian territory that they have illegally captured throughout this heinous war. And they're going to look for the Ukrainian government to ensure that it will not attempt to enter NATO and that it will continue to disarm itself. That's the only thing that's going to appease Putin. And whether sanctions come or not, they're going to continue this until the United States and its allies push back.
Bishop Garrison, thank you for your time. Thank you for talking to Beyond Wild is One today.
Thank you for having me.
Ukrainians woke up to raining missiles and drones as Russia pounded Kyiv, reducing residential apartments to rubble. and a trail of massive fires across the Ukrainian capital. Fiery explosions were seen over Kyiv's skyline as Russia bombarded cities with missiles and drones. Sirens and gunfire were also heard as thick plumes of smoke filled the skies. Kyiv claims the overnight strikes killed at least 8 people, including a 6-year-old boy, and wounded at least 88 others. The aerial bombardment damaged residential buildings and sparked massive fires. Kyiv residents stood outside their apartments blocks and firemen hoised blazing fires. The deadly drone and missile attack forced Ukrainians to take shelter in the metro, while explosions rocked the capital all night over ground. According to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Russia launched over 300 drones and 8 missiles in the attack on Kyiv overnight. The overnight assault reduced several multi-story buildings to rubble. Emergency workers were seen pulling bodies from the rubble of a collapsed building, even as Ukraine's interior minister accused Moscow of using Shahed drones and missiles to target civilians.
There is preliminary information that there were reactive Shahed drones. It's not the first time they used them against civilian and municipal infrastructure facilities in Ukraine and the city of Kyiv. Experts are now counting how many reactive Shaheds there were.
The Russian army, meanwhile, claimed to have captured Chasiv Yar, a strategically important hillside town in eastern Ukraine, where the two sides have been fiercely fighting for months. Moscow has stepped up its deadly aerial assault and claimed advances on ground in recent months, resisting U.S. pressure to end its nearly 3.5-year war. The latest aerial assault came just days after U.S. President Donald Trump.
To sharpen its assault on Ukraine, the country launched a fierce attack, destroying one of Ukrainian airfields. The airfield was reportedly housing F-16 fighter jets. And now the US president has given a new ultimatum to his Russian counterpart. Speaking in Scotland, Trump says that he is reducing his 50-day deadline given to Russia. Trump says Putin now has 10 to 12 days to end the war in Ukraine.
The war has entered an ominous new chapter. Recent weeks have seen Russia clawing back territory, pushing Ukrainian forces back from key front lines. In Donetsk and Luhansk, Kharkiv's outskirts are now bracing under renewed artillery fire. And in the southeast, Russian gains threaten to strangle Ukrainian supply routes. These are the new images released by Russian Defense Ministry showing Russian forces unleashing TOS-2 flamethrowers, a thermobaric weapon designed to inflict maximum destruction. These flamethrowers fire rockets that disperse explosive aerosols, which detonate on impact, creating massive high-pressure blasts. In a calculated overnight barrage, Russia launched hundreds of drones and 7 missiles, striking hard at western Ukraine's Starokonstantiv air base, which, according to reports, is a base for NATO-supplied F-16 fighter jets. The strike didn't stop at Ukraine's borders. Poland scrambled fighter jets in response to the wave of Russian drones veering close to NATO airspace, another ominous escalation. The US President Donald Trump, who is in UK, says he is reducing the 50-day deadline he set for Russian President Vladimir Putin to agree to a deal on Ukraine.
I'm disappointed in President Putin. Very disappointed in him. So we're going to have to look, and I'm going to reduce that 50 days that I gave him to a lesser number because I think I already know the answer what's going to happen.
On the ground, Russian forces are continuing to advance. With every new assault, Russia's footprint grows and the peril spreads far beyond Ukrainian soil. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Russia continues to sharpen its assault on Ukraine. Russia launched a fierce attack, destroying one of Ukrainians' airfield. The airfield was reportedly housing F-16 fighter jets. Now, the US president has given a new ultimatum to his Russian counterpart. Speaking in Scotland, Trump says he is reducing his 50-day deadline given to Russia. Trump says that Putin now has 10 to 12 days to end the war in Ukraine.